Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Travers Day, Saturday, August 26th up at Saratoga. I'm Tom Leach. Jim Goodman's alongside, Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting for Keeneland, and you've got a bunch of grade ones, 6 of them hard. It's like a Breeders' Cup day up at Saratoga, and then another grade 2 to wrap up the program. We're going to take a look at all the grade 1s, including an all-stakes pick 4 that ends with the Travers. But Jim, will start in the 6th race. Songbird is going to be the big favorite in the grade 1 personal ensign. And do you think you can beat her?
I think a lot of people look at that race at Delaware, especially the way it came back with a very light buyer figure, and the fact that she had to run, I don't know if she had to run hard, but she didn't blow that field away, and it wasn't a very strong field. There were only 5 fillies that day, and she won by a length. If she's not back on top of her game, I suppose Forever Unbridled could give her a shot. She only finished a length and a half behind her in the Breeders' Cup last year, and if you assume that Songbird may not be back to the top of her game, I gotta watch this race and just pull for her. I don't think it's a good betting race, but Forever Unbridled might be 2-1, 3-1. Songbird's going to be 2-5 probably. I just like to see her win. I think that she's obviously a very special filly, and I hope she's back on top of her game. Maybe she just didn't care for the Delaware Strip. Maybe they didn't have her cranked. That was 1.25 miles. She shortens up to 1.8 miles. So I think she's obviously a standout here. But Forever Unbridled, I guess if you're looking for value, you can make a case for her. But I'm hoping Songbird blows her away as well.
I think Songbird's vulnerable here, but really the best way, I think probably, if I was going to bet it, I'd probably play Going for Broke with Songbird and Forever Unbridled, key on Going for Broke, and hopefully she wins or runs second, because I think she'll be the bigger price of the 3. And she's second off a layoff and comes off a career best buyer, and really likes Saratoga, Chad Brown, so I think there's some prospects there, but really, it's probably more a race to just watch. If you're doing multi-races in that race, I think I'd include all 3, just in case Going for Broke is getting good. 7th race, the Grade 1 Ballerina, and it's 7 furlongs here for 3-year-olds and up. I took a little bit of a stretch here on Distenta, the 6, mainly because she's moving into the Pletcher barn. He wins at 24% with newcomers, and she's had 3 works for him up at Saratoga since going into his barn. And I'm in 3 wins at 7 furlongs, and just on the move to Pletcher and the value that I think I'll get, I'm going to try to beat Paula Silver Lining, who I think is the one to beat. That's who I started to go to. Curlin's Approval, I think probably would be next in line for me, and then Karina Mia, and then By the Moon, kind of in that order. But I think Paula Silver Lining is going to be very tough to beat in here. But I'm going to try to get a little value with Distenta and key her and Exactas with those other more likelies. How about you?
I went with Karina Mia. Paula Silver Lining has won 4 in a row. She's won 3 in a row in photos. And now they're 2 grade 1s and a grade 2, so you can't take that away from her. But she's always just gets there, just barely gets there. The 7 furlongs ought to suit her. She's 3 for 6 distance, 2 for 5 at Saratoga, so she's the obvious favorite. I just like the way Karina Mia came back to the races after a little bit of a layoff. She only won by neck, but she had a little bit of a rough trip, and I don't think she was fully cranked for that. I think Chad's second off a layoff is 26%. When they win their last start, she's 26%. Dirty's 28%. He's a pretty good trainer. So I think Karina Mia it might be a little bit of a value here with Paula Silver Lining. I think Distenta is going to get some play because of the Pletcher angle. If I'm playing a trifecta here, I'm going to take Karina Mia on top. I'm going to use Distenta, Paula Silver Lining, and probably for a shot, the outside horse Highway Star, just thinking that she may get up for a piece of it. But take Karina Mia just barely here over Paula Silver Lining.
Hey, this is certainly no surprise to say this, but it's a nice group of fillies there in this Grade 1 Ballerina, and it's a really
lot of nice races.
Tough challenge. All right, the 8th race starts an all-stakes pick 4, and we'll come back to our pick 4 tickets after we go through all the races. So, Jim, we'll start with the Grade 1, now called the Allen Jerkins, for 3-year-olds at 7 furlongs. Big day for 7 furlong races. And here you've got several horses that have had triple-digit buyers in their last start. Who did you land on for the Allen Jerkins?
Well, everybody's going to bet Baffert with American Anthem shipping up from Belmont. He came over from Santa Anita and ran a 102 Buyer and Woody Stevens and looked unbelievable. But I think there's a little bit of a price here in a horse that I had in the future book in the Derby, and he just didn't pan out. Takaful looked unbelievable in that race at Saratoga. Wasn't running against much. They put him in an allowance race to get him back to the races after he got off the Derby trail after the terrible Fountain of Youth. But he just looked, if you go back and watch that race, he just blew that field away. That's first off a layoff. If he moves forward from that 105 Buyer, I mean, he's obviously going to win this race. He may bounce a little bit. The other horse, Cold Front, had a 105 Buyer, and I love that Buyer progression from 87 to 97 and 105. This is only his fourth lifetime win, or fourth lifetime start, which could be his fourth lifetime win. He's 3 for 3, and he really hasn't been challenged. And American Anthem is going to be the favorite. I would take those three in the pick four, but I'm going to take a price shot here maybe with Takaful and hope they overlook Kerry McLaughlin, who's one of my favorite trainers and is actually 26% this Saratoga meet. Takaful the 2 is my pick in the Alan Jerkins.
That's where I started to go myself on that one. I'm like you. I was real impressed with that race earlier in the meet. I ended up going to Practical Joke just because I think this horse is going to be so much better around one turn, and they're finally, I think, at a point where they're probably going to leave him in one-turn races. And that race 2 back around one turn at Belmont, I thought was very, very impressive. 2 for 2 at Saratoga. Buyers are a little light, so I think you might get a little value. 100-plus buyers for Takaful and Cold Front and American Anthem. So I'm going to key off Practical Joke in here, but I think Baffert's beatable in this spot. So Practical Joke for me. In the 9th race, the Grade 1 Forgo, I don't really think they're going to beat Baffert. I like Dre Fong. Very impressive here last summer. Didn't really get to run at Del Mar when the jockey fell off, but if he improves on the end of last year, which he certainly could do as a 4-year-old, then I just think he's better than these. Mind Your Biscuits, awfully good. Divining Rod just ran a huge race down at Laurel, much lighter competition, but Delacour picks his spots well. I would add Awesome Slew as well. I think on his best day he could have a shot at this, but I'm going to lean hard on Dre Fong. Won't single him in the pick 4, but he's a strong win pick for me in the Grade 1 Forgo, also at 7 furlongs. How about you?
Well, you got to like Baffert. You got to like him shipping up, and Dre Fong obviously, lost jockey last time out. So if you just draw a line through that, for 3 straight 103 Buyers, and that could get it done here. But I'm going to take Mind Your Biscuits. Mind Your Biscuits is proven at Saratoga. The last race, I thought he was beatable in the Belmont Sprint, and he demolished an awfully good field, including Awesome Slew and Tommy Macho, who are back to take him again. One thing that bothers me is Chad Summers wasn't real happy with his work earlier this week. It was a good work. I think it was last Friday. Good work from a time standpoint, but he said he needed to work out some things. I got a feeling he's going to work them out, and I think Mind Your Biscuits is the winner here. Dre Fong would complete a very, very chalky exacta. I think you can make a case for Awesome Slew and make a case for Divining Rod coming out of that Delaware race and picking up Javier Castellano. So I think there's 4 horses that got a shot here. I'm going to have to take a stand somewhere to pick 4, so I'll let you know when I do that. But I'm going to take Mind Your Biscuits, the 6 horse.
10th race is the Grade 1 Sword Dancer, 1.5 miles on the turf. In this one, the Americans, for me, just seemed to be a good but not great group. And when I have that situation in a turf race, and I've got Euros to go to, I usually go there. So I think Idaho and Erupt, I think one of those two is going to win this. I go to Idaho. I thought third in a Group 1 last time. And Aiden O'Brien. I know Erupt beat him last year up in Canada, but I think Idaho turns the tables this time on Erupt. And I think Idaho's going to be my key. I'd use Erupt. I'd use Bigger Picture, Money Multiplier as well, and Exactas keying around Idaho. How about you in the Sword Dancer?
Well, there's no way you can separate Sadler's Joy, Money Multiplier, and Hunter O'Reilly. They ran 1, 2, 3 in a race where I actually like Frank Conversation in the Bowling Green, and Gutierrez didn't take him to the lead, so I thought he was the only speed in that race. If you remember handicapping, Hunter O'Reilly came from way out of it and won at 16-1. So, is he going to move forward? Was it just a freaky day? Did the pace set up for him? But I can't eliminate any of those three. I couldn't eliminate the 2 Euros. I think they're equal. I think I understand your feeling that that O'Brien may turn the tables on Erupt, but I can make a big case for Erupt. So I'm wound up. Out of 7 horses, I like 5 of them. So guess what I'm going to do in pick 4?
Mr. All.
I'm going to do all. I can only eliminate 2, so I'm going to do all. If you maybe bet somebody to win, I'd probably take one of the Euros. Probably Aidan O'Brien, but I don't think they're locked by any stretch of the imagination. I think those 3 that came out of Bowling Green all have a shot. So I'm going to take them all.
The All Stakes pick 4 concludes with the Grade 1 Travers for 3-year-olds at 1.25 miles. And I think this is wide open. You could talk me into several different horses in here. Who did you land on?
Well, I have this rule that you can't take over half of them and do all, so I can't take more than half of them, but I might take 6 of them in the pick 4. I had a buddy who texted me last night and said he likes to do a 5-horse trifecta box in a big race that has a full field, and I never do that. But I did give him back 5 horses, and I'm going to tell you those 5 horses that I gave him. Plus, I'm going to add one more because I can't throw out West Coast. I like Taproot in here. I think likely favorite, Belmont winner. He regained his Florida form in the Belmont after just a horrible Derby. Also got a reason to pull for Taproot because he came out of the Bluegrass along with McCracken and IRAP. So I think we got a real shot here at getting another Grade 1 win for those horses that came out of the Bluegrass, which is important to Keeneland. I'm going to use Taproot. I'm going to use Good Samaritan. I didn't use him last time. It cost me a $2,500 pick 4. I used 4 out of the 5 in that race. I broke my own rule, and so. But Mott only has one birthday, and he won on his birthday with him last time, so he can't do that again. So I don't think Good Samaritan is quite as good as some of these others, but he was that day, so I got to leave him in. Gervin, the 6 horse, had a huge win, a gutsy Haskell win. Can't leave him off. I just thought that was a great effort and proves that Joe Sharp is a really good trainer and has a really good horse here. Always Dreaming, the 7. I'm not giving up the race. He needed the last in Jim Dandy, and he didn't. He did fade, but he fought back at the end. I'm going to give him one more shot. We use McCracken. Looked like a winner in the Haskell, and he's still looking for that big breakthrough win. And I really have liked him the whole Derby trail, and maybe he's got a shot today. IRAP has won 2 Derbies, but they weren't the Kentucky Derby. He's won the Ohio and the Indiana Derby, and he's going very well right now for Neal. He won the Indiana Derby for fun over a horse, Colonel's Dark Temper, who came back and won the West Virginia Derby. So he's in great form. If you maybe pick a winner, I'd say it's Taproot, but I give a big shot to Gervin and McCracken coming out of the Haskell. So I would play a trifecta, maybe Keene, Taproot over some of those horses. I'd also use West Coast if I was in multiple wagers, if I could afford it, because he's lightly raced and Baffert doesn't ship him over here for fun. But he's untested at the Grade 1 level, so he's got to prove it to me first. That's my 7 picks for the Travers. I would take Taproot, but I also think McCracken and Gervin have big shots.
I started out on cloud computing. I was real high on him for the Jim Dandy. He really disappointed me, but he's worked well since then, and I just think he's a lot better than that. So I definitely want to use him. But I ended up taking McCracken for the win pick. That 12-1 morning line is real enticing in a race where I think he's shot, and he's such a higher price than a lot of the others in here. I think the pedigree, he'll like 1.25 miles. I think the Haskell is going to end up being the better prep over the Jim Dandy. We'll see, but that's kind of how I'm going to play. So I'm going to pick McCracken, but I'm going to use an exacta box, Gervin and cloud computing. The next one I think would probably be Good Samaritan, then IRAP, and I have Taproot written down. I have West Coast. I finally had to scratch some out. So I'd go 9, 6, 1. If you can add a 4th horse, 5 Good Samaritan. If you can add a 5th horse in an exacta or try box, then IRAP. So I'm just kind of giving folks my idea of an order of preference. But for the value mainly, McCracken I think is going to run big, and I just don't know if he'll be first, second, or third. I think he'll hit the board, but I'm going to key on McCracken for my win pick in the Travers. Let's go back to the pick 4.
You'll never see a better betting race than this.
Oh, no.
And one thing that I read this past week that I didn't realize, this is the first Travers since 1982 when all 3 winners of the Triple Crown races ran against each other in Travers.
And none of the 3 won it.
That's correct. They did not. And that could very well happen here.
I think it will.
I can make a case for a couple of them, but they're certainly not going to be the favorites.
Yeah, that was, let's
maybe
see.
Taproot may be the favorite. They may bet him off the Belmont.
That was Gato del Sol, Aloma's Ruler, and Conquistador Cielo. And I can't remember who won it. Willow Hour, maybe? I can't remember.
I remember reading it this past week, but I mean, there was a big deal in Saratoga press release that said this is the first time since '82 that the 3 winners of the Triple Crown race.
Neat little trivia nugget. Pick 4 starts in the 8th race. I'm using 4 horses there. Practical Joke plus the 3 others that have the 100 buyers: Tacklefull, Cold Front, American Anthem. Then I'm going to use Dreyfong, Mind Your Biscuits, and Divining Rod in the next race. In the Sword Dancer, I'm just going to use the 2 Euros, Idaho and Erupt. And then in the Travers, I'm going to use McCracken, Gervin, Cloud Computing, Good Samaritan. So that's a ticket of 24 times 4. What's that? 96. So half of that. If you can afford to go another one, then I would go IRAP with my next. Add one more in that last leg. Last week, I'm going to take credit for the pick 4 because I had 1 and 8 in the last leg, and I said if you could go one more, add the 6, and the 1 scratched and the 6 won. So I'll take credit for that.
We'll give it to you.
Yeah,
we'll give it to you.
So I'm gonna go for 2 in a row this week. How about you on your pick 4?
Okay, well I'll change my pick 4 after you did your handicapping of the Jerkins, because I remember what you talked about with Practical Joke after he didn't Haskell, but you said when they get into one turn he's gonna be tough. So I'm gonna modify my ticket. I'm gonna put 1 more in there. I'm gonna put Practical Joke in. So I'm gonna use Practical Joke, the 1, Tacklefull, the 2, the 7, Cold Front, and 9, American Anthem. So 1, 2, 7, 9. I'm going to single Mind Your Biscuits in the forego. I'm just going to take a shot here that Summers is going to have him ready, and he's so tough. And I'm going to maybe take a shot that Dreyfong's not going to show up with his A game. So I'm going to single the 6. I'm going to go all in the turf race. Like I said, that's 7 horses. And then to make the ticket fairly affordable, I did cut down to 6 horses in the last race in the Travers, and I would go 3 West Coast, 4 Taproot, the 6 Gervin, the 7 Always Dreaming, the 9 McCracken, and the 10 IRAP. So that would be 6 horses. So I'd go 4 by single, by 7, by 6, and that's $84 if you can afford that. So they're going to pay some prices. So if I get Mind Your Biscuits in, I think I got a good shot.
And then you got the Grade 2 Boston Spa. We're not going to get to that one, but Lady Eli, Antoneau in there, and some others. Dickinson that won here at Keeneland in April. So really good race to wrap up the card. But the pick 4 ends with the Travers. Best of luck on your wagers. Keep your account funded at Keeneland Select so you can take advantage of these opportunities that you can't get to the track or to your local simulcast facility. And we'll be back next week for another edition of the In the Money podcast. Kentucky Downs will be starting. It'll be closing weekend at Saratoga. So more great racing, and we'll be talking about it right here on the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.